With Jesus and Nkunku both picking up injuries in the past few days, FPL managers are going out of their mind, frantically rebuilding their Game Week 1 drafts. But fear not, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going to show you the ultimate team for Game Week 1. And starting off my final draft is going to be Johnson in goal from Crystal Palace. I do believe he is the best 4.5 million goalkeeper. I think he's massively going under the radar as well. Currently below 2% ownership. Now the reason I've gone with him, it does look from kind of the pre-season kind of fixtures that he is going to be the starting. Finish the season as well. It does look like Gaeta is kind of now the second choice goalkeeper for Crystal Palace. So very happy to have him. Roy Hodgson's teams have always had very good, very solid defences in them. That can be seen as well from his appointment in Game Week 29, where Palace had the best XG conceded up until Game Week 38 and only conceded 11 goals over that period. The fixtures aren't amazing, but you know, they kind of are good enough for a 4.5 million goalkeeper, and I think he is going to be an excellent pick for me, massively going under the radar. I don't think people realise how good Crystal Palace were under Roy Hodgson in the second half of last season, so I think he is going to be a fantastic choice for me in goal. Moving into my backline, things haven't changed pretty much for the past few weeks and the past few draft videos that I have done. Estupinian is in there, good opening free fixtures for Brighton, standout performer from last season, 1 goal and 7 assists. With him, we do have 0.5 million in the bank within this team, and the plan is to move from Estupinian to Ben Chilwell by Game Week 3. That is the plan. That's what kind of I've outlined in my mind is what I'm going to do with Estupinian, because after those 3 fixtures, Brighton's fixtures are terrible, like really, really bad. Bottom kind of in terms of ranking of fixtures after Game Week 3 for Brighton. So I think, you know, we need to be looking to move these Brighton players out as quick as possible. So have a plan in place with your teams. If you've got a Matoma, a João Pedro, a March, an Estupinian, have a plan in place how you're going to move off these players, because after these 3 fixtures, they're really bad. Really, really bad. Right, moving on to our next defender. Again, another player who's not left my team in a long time. It is Gabriel from Arsenal. The 4th highest scoring defender last year. 3 goals, 0 assists, and had the 2nd highest XG as well. That Forest fixture is looking absolutely delicious, as are their long-term fixtures up until Game Week 8. I think he's going to be pretty nailed and a very good pick at 5 million. Moving on to our final defender, and it is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I've seen quite a few people potentially going out without him. Obviously, Liverpool's pre-season results have been a little bit of a cause for concern in terms of defensive kind of aspects, but I think the attacking output that Trent gets, obviously playing in this midfield role as well, 2 goals, 8 assists for him last season, that's only going to increase this season, I think, and yeah. Obviously as well, the reason I've gone with Trent is I always like to start with the kind of the higher price players that are good, still good value at 8 million if Trent is kicking on. But if he isn't, I've got kind of unlimited budget to replace him, move around them funds, rather than not go without him. He absolutely slaps it at the start of the season, then I'm having to rebuild my team to try and get him in. So I think that is the logic that I'm kind of keeping with Trent, and you know what, I'm very happy. Again, not left my team since kind of my initial, even my mock draft. I think Trent's been in every single one, so very happy to have him in the side. Moving on to the midfield, again, another player who has not left my team since I think the game was announced and this player's price was announced. It is Bruno Fernandes. 8.5 million for a player of his quality is a joke. I've been speaking about it in every single video. 8 goals, 9 assists for him last season on penalties, and his underlying data was flipping fantastic. Nearly 15 kind of expected assists, which is just ridiculous for a player to be underachieving by that much. Hopefully when they get Højlund as well, that's going to increase his assist potential. Having an out-and-out number 9 is going to massively improve his numbers, so very happy to have him in the side. Can see why people go Rashford, but I just think Bruno is worth it for that extra 0.5 million that you are going to get within your side. Moving on to our next player, again another one who's not left and is a very much template staple player of a lot of people's drafts. It is Saka. 14 goals, 12 assists for him on penalties. Good opening fixtures. Forest actually lost 5-0 to Rennes in their last pre-season game. That is a major concern for them. Don't currently have kind of a first choice kind of Premier League quality goalkeeper either, so they could be one of the teams that are down there this season, a team that we look to target. I think as well, I was reading on Twitter that they're potentially not paying like people's wages and agents' fees, so that is a big cause of concern. So game week 1, I think he is going to absolutely rip it up, as is the next man, Martinelli as well. 15 goals at 9 assists for him. I want that Arsenal triple. I've toyed with Jesus, but obviously with that injury news now, I think that just makes it set to go for Martinelli. I don't mind Odegaard as a pick, but for that extra 0.5 million cheaper, you can get yourself a fantastic player in Gabriel Martinelli. There are some causes for concern with kind of the additions that Arsenal have made. You know, you got your Trossard, your Emil Smith-Rowe is fully fit and firing again this kind of season, so there is going to be rotation risk, but I think for those first 3 game weeks, he's going to start every single one if he can hit the ground running as well. He's a super kind of low ownership for the quality that he is at the moment, below 15%. I imagine that is only going to increase over the next few weeks, obviously with the Jesus news breaking as well. People are going to be updating the drafts and putting Martinelli in because, wow, I think you need a triple up on Arsenal, especially with the way Forest have been conceding goals in pre-season. Moving on to our next player, and it's a player I am very hot on indeed, ladies and gentlemen. It is Eze. Absolutely been cooking in pre-season, and very similar to Johnson, that Crystal Palace side had kind of a massive kind of upswing in form and performances. Eze was one of those players. He was the second highest scoring mid since Roy Hodgson's appointment, only behind Mohamed Salah. We know how good he was towards the end of last season. Potentially on penalties as well this year, which is a massive asset in this game. He fits the talisman theory as well. Everything is coming through him. He looks very good, very just on it. I couldn't even think of a word there, but he's just on it, isn't he, ladies and gentlemen? I think if Michael Olise does go, it potentially impacts the creativity of that Palace side, but I still think Eze is going to absolutely cook, and I've spoke about the importance of penalties within this game, and he is going to be on fire, ladies and gentlemen. Sheffield United as well lost their star man. They could potentially be on to break Derby's points record this season, so I think you need like an Eze in that first game week. He could massively explode, and he's at a good price at 6.5 million. Keeping within that price tag is our next player, and it is Mbeumo. Brentford have really good fixtures after game week 2. He's in the squad here at the moment, as I don't fancy really playing Colwell or Baldock as kind of the fixtures clash with other players. And Mbeumo as well, you know, he's on penalties. He's going to be playing a lot more minutes due to Tony's suspension, and I like the fact that Brentford have a very positive record against the top 6 sides since being promoted. All it takes is for him to get a penalty. They're at home as well. They made that place a fortress last year, so you imagine it's going to be very similar themed again in a lot of people's teams, so I don't think there's too much we really need to say about that one. Moving on to our forwards, we do have 2 forwards within this side. Erling Haaland is the first one. I mean, I'm not going to even bother wasting my time. He's in there. He's captain for game week 1. Pretty self-explanatory. There's no point, I genuinely, I've said this in every single video, no point kind of trying to convince you. If you don't have Haaland, what are you doing? Sort yourself out. But the next forward is one that I am going to have to convince you on, and it is Ollie Watkins. Now, obviously with the Jesus and Nkunku injuries, that has meant that I've reverted back to Ollie Watkins. Sorry, if you did watch the stream that came out on Wednesday, I did have Nkunku in there. I was very happy to have him in there with the good Chelsea fixtures. I felt like he was nailed, but that injury has massively kind of changed my mind, and we've switched to Watkins. 4th highest scoring forward last season. 15 goals, 8 assists. Emery got this man cooking on penalties as well, and is kind of forming an incredible partnership with DRB as well. He is playing at the time of recording tonight, so fingers crossed he doesn't get injured, because I'm going to look like a knob if he does, and it's going to be absolutely painful. But yeah, Ollie Watkins, I think that Newcastle fixture as well is kind of been overhyped in terms of their defensive ability. Second half of the season, they just weren't as good in terms of underlying data and keeping overall goals out of the net. If you remember back as well, just cast your minds back a few months, Villa actually beat Newcastle 3-0 Obviously it was at Villa Park, but Ollie Watkins scored 2 and got an assist, involved in the goals. He's involved in everything that Aston Villa do have going forward. They've signed some brilliant players and should be looking for a very, very strong season. So I like him as a pick, very solid. And when Jesus and Nkunku are back from injury, it's very easy to switch in and out. And that's why I think you need it as kind of a placeholder position rather than go for the 4-5-1 and have to rejig your team a little bit later on. Moving on to our bench, we do have Bentley. Now he played the other night in a Wolves friendly against Luton, 4 million goalkeeper. Jose Sarr was pretty poor towards the end of last season and Bentley actually replaced him for the final 2 games. So who knows, that could happen again. With Wolves' financial situation as well, they are potentially looking to offload some players and Jose Sarr is one of them that they are potentially looking at. So Bentley could be a starting 4 million goalkeeper, which would be great to have on our bench. Baldock, again, 4 million starting defender, very happy to have him. Levi Colwill has come in. We originally had Ben Chilwell in and I'm still trying to find a way to get Ben Chilwell in, but I feel this overall balance is great and I feel the plan to go to Estepinian to Chilwell is good. But Levi Colwill for 4.5, he's going to be playing a lot of minutes for Chelsea this season. Obviously it seems like they have a little bit of an injury crisis at centre back at the current time, but he was fantastic for Brighton last year and has just signed a new 6-year contract as well. So you don't give out those sort of contracts to players you don't think are going to be playing a lot of games. 4.5 million, I think he can just sit there very happily, come in when I need him to and come out of the team. He's not going to get like attacking returns like your Chilwells, but very solid player to have in. And then the final player is Umbuema. Sure. A lot of West Ham fans, one West Ham fan in particular at work told me to go and buy this guy. He said he's going to be playing a lot more games this season. 4.5 million forward. There aren't too many other ones. Cameron Archer, but again, it's all going to be limited minutes for these 4.5 million. So just finding one that you kind of prefer, and that is the one that I have gone for. Let me know what you think of my final draft in the comments section. If you do have any questions about your team, then get them in there as well. Don't forget to like the video as it does push it out to the wider community, which is great because, you know, we want to get this channel booming and, you know, just all the general things. Obviously we are trying to hit 1,500 subs before the kind of balls kick for this season. We're very close to doing that. I think we're about 48 away, so that would be absolutely immense if we could do that. But thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of your day.